Story 1, The Madness of Humanity. In the abyssal expanse of space, where the silence was as profound as the darkness, the stars hung like ancient witnesses to the unfolding drama. Among these celestial sentinels, a being stirred, a relic from an era when the galaxies themselves were young. The ancient, a behemoth draped in the darkness of forgotten eons, opened its eyes, and the void flickered with the reflection of 1,000 worlds in its gaze. The remnants of war lay scattered around the desolate landscape, a testament to the recent clash that had shaken the stars. Charred metal, shattered ships, and the dust of the defeated mingled with the celestial stones beneath the ancients' feet. Amidst the ruins, the colossal figure towered over a lone human, a stark contrast to the creature's immensity. The human, his body dwarfed by the looming presence, stood defiant, the fabric of his uniform a mosaic of battle and survival. "You are but an ember flickering in the shadow of eternity," the ancient rumbled, its voice resonating through the vacuum, transcending the silence of space. "How does your kind dare to oppose the Scavari, the architects of destiny?" The soldier, his face weathered by more than the scars of war, met the ancient's stare with an unwavering gaze. "We've never been too fond of destiny," he replied, the corner of his mouth lifting ever so slightly, "especially when it's not of our own making." The ancient's eyes narrowed, the cosmic tapestry reflected within them, seeming to twist with its growing ire. "Foolishness," it spat. "Your lives flicker and fade like the briefest of sparks. I have witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations while your ancestors still clawed at the dirt." The human shrugged, his rifle slung casually over his shoulder. "Maybe so," he conceded, "but it's not the years in your life that count. It's the life in your years." The ancient leaned in, its shadow engulfing the man who stood before it. "We Scavari are eternal. We have built empires across the galaxies, shaped the very fabric of existence to our will. You," it sneered, "are nothing." The soldier's eyes did not waver. "And yet here we stand," he said softly, his voice firm. "Your empires, your might, they mean nothing against the people fighting for their freedom. You see, we humans have a knack for upsetting the odds." A smirk played on the soldier's lips as he turned his head slightly, signaling to his comrades. "Ready," he called, his voice cutting through the oppressive silence. The sound of rifles being shouldered was a quiet symphony, a prelude to the climax of this cosmic encounter. The Scavari's dreams of conquest, once as bright as the stars themselves, now faced the twilight of their dominion. The ancients' disbelief was palpable, a tremor in the fabric of the cosmos. This insurgency was to be quashed. Our strategies were flawless, our warriors unparalleled. "Aim!" The command was a thunderclap, shattering the ancients' train of thought. The human soldiers trained their weapons on the Scavari forces, their postures resolute, their intentions clear. The ancient searched the eyes of its kin, once proud and unyielding, now clouded with the specter of defeat. The taste of bitterness filled its senses, a flavor as foreign as the concept of failure. The soldier, whose cheek still bore the faintest hint of insolence, turned back to the ancient. "Anything else you'd like to add?" he asked, the gravity of the moment not enough to fully suppress his irreverent spirit. Silence was the ancient's only reply. "Fire!" The command echoed, not just across the battlefield, but through the annals of time. The fates of empires, the dreams of the Scavari were extinguished in the relentless barrage. The ancient, a being outside of time, felt the crushing weight of a future unimagined. A future where humans, the fleeting sparks, had kindled a fire that would burn across the expanse of space. As the smoke cleared and the echoes of gunfire faded into the void, the ancient remained motionless, its thoughts as scattered as the debris around it. The humans had done more than win a battle. They had unraveled the certainty of the universe. In the aftermath, the soldier approached the ancient, his weapon now lowered. He looked up at the creature, his eyes not gloating, but filled with a solemn recognition of the cost of war. "We're not so different, you and I," he said quietly. "We both long for our people to live, to thrive. It's just that your way isn't ours. It never could be." The ancient, for all its power and age, found no words to counter the human simple truth. It gazed down at the victor, the anger that had once flared within it, now a dying ember. The soldier gave a slight nod and turned away, leaving the ancient among the ruins of its own ambitions. The stars, those ancient scribes, continued their silent vigil, ready to inscribe a new chapter in the annals of the cosmos. In the vast, indifferent universe, the ancient stood alone, a monument to a bygone era. And under a sky filled with age-old stars, it began to comprehend the true might of those it had deemed insignificant. The ancient, a being born of conquest and dominion, had finally learned the most human of lessons, that the power to shape fate lies not in the strength of one's empire, but in the courage of one's heart. Story 2, The Galaxy with the Black Spot. For untold generations, it had confounded our greatest thinkers. The galaxy closest to ours, with every passing eon, accelerates towards us, faster and faster. In a few billion orbits, it will collide with us, and two will become one. If it was just a normal galaxy like any other, we would have no worry. Our two galaxies would lose their mighty spiral shapes for a few billion years, but no real danger would come to pass. That galaxy is different. Ever since our first telescopes were pointed towards the huge spinning disk in the sky, we noticed something odd about it. Even as the telescopes increased in size, and we did away with calculations by hand and constructed massive mines of silicon to crunch the numbers, we couldn't understand it. In a certain part of the galaxy, for no reason, stars, regardless of their form or age, would simply disappear, completely vanish from view. They were still there somehow. Observations by our telescopes and our computers told us something was still where they were, exerting their gravity fields. Over millennia, as we ourselves spread to other stars around our mother sun, this hideous, terrifying black patch of nothing spread across the neighbor galaxy like the most terrible virus on a macroscopic scale. Nobody could explain it. If the stars were dying naturally, at least some would die gloriously, in a flash of energy, then leave a soup of elements for the next generation to be forged. Here there was nothing. Stars twinkled, diminished, and whimpered out forever. Not only did they go out, no, they moved as well. Yes, all stars orbit around the black hole at the center. But not only that. Some stars altered their course, sped up, slowed down, even crashing into each other. The existence of the black spot gripped the mind of every sentient in our galaxy. Religions rose, worshiping it and begging it to spare them when our galaxy met its. It's swallowed about a fifth of the neighbor galaxy now, and it increases noticeably by the century. We grumbled at the unfortunate speed of our end, coming in billions what should take trillions of orbits. Some planets in our galaxy became refugees, trying desperately to organize some way of sending our people to another galaxy, one safe from the spot. Then we received a radio message, an all-powerful burst of low-frequency light, at this point older than our civilization, and our society all came crashing down. Attention humans everywhere, we've done it. We have finally completed science. That's right, we have all the answers to existence, neatly organized, packaged, and broken down into 15 easy-to-understand instructional holovids, narrated by a virtual recreation of Stephen Fry. They'll be sent in the next databurst to all Dyson spheres, both via FTL comms and basic radio communications. Those of you not on the network by the time you get this via radio, we're sorry you had to wait a couple of thousand years. But seeing as we're immortal and all, a couple of thousand years doesn't seem that bad now, does it? You couldn't watch all video entertainment ever made in that time, even if you left out the crummy 99% of it. Hell, even in the crummy 99% is still the so bad it's good stuff. The ones you can watch with your friends, downing beers and enjoying a really big pizza, as you viciously... Sir, we were talking about the mastery of the laws of nature? Eh? Oh, right, excuse me. Yes, as Caroline pointed out, we are now, by the perspective of lesser intelligences, literally gods. That doesn't mean we have free reign, though. If you're part of one of those gangs of hoodlums that extort, enslave, or exterminate primitive worlds, pretending to be the creators of that world and all beings on it, we will be very angry with you. We have rumors that some want to go over to the Andromeda Galaxy and raise some chaos over there. Don't do that. That's not nice. Be responsible with your godhood. Yes, I know eternity without setting a city on fire can be dull, but that is our burden. Anyway, Starting today, we're moving some of the more space-intensive aspects of our civilization over to subspace. Coffee over there isn't fantastic, but we're working on it. I, for one, would rather spend the rest of existence with bad coffee than that same time with hemp sandal wearing, "The universe isn't totally ours" hippies yammering in my ear every time we enclose a star. Damn wastes of society wouldn't stop with their push for the banning of bacon when we uplifted the pigs. Of course, perfecting our knowledge of everything most likely leaves a significant portion of you out of work, Caroline and myself being only two examples. But not to worry. With all objective knowledge having been gathered and applied, we'll be moving over to subjective knowledge. First three projects will be: 1. Whoa, what is the big deal with minimalism? 2. Can a sex droid develop true love, and can humans for that matter? 3. Was Hitler really that bad? We'll be expecting results next year, but before we do, any who can better report to the Betelgeuse Dyson sphere. In celebration of your hard work and the hard work of the thousands of generations that preceded you, we'll be turning that sphere into the largest zero-G ball pit brothel in the observable universe. And you and your families have an all-expenses-paid week-long vacation there. Both parts of the establishment are physically separated from one another, by the way. We'll see you there. This is Saul, the Third Laboratories. We're done here. We are doomed. Story 3, The Run. A wee itty-bitty one-shot thing demonstrating one Earth custom we might want to tell the aliens before they try anything stupid like invade us. Danny, this is insane! Don't start panicking now, Tagasi. What are you, your planet's version of a chicken? I don't even know what that is. But I do know a thing or two about these bulls, and none of it's good. Then that should just make you run faster. Danny, the human I had met during War Games 2 standard years ago, and had since befriended, insisted on showing me the sights of his home planet. I thought we were going to see monuments or natural wonders, not try to kill ourselves in the most fantastic way possible. This was the town of Pamplona, which had an annual tradition that Danny wanted us to play a part in. Again, I had imagined it to be a fair or a great feast or something equally sane. But no, apparently in celebration of one of their saints, they release a herd of huge, fast, sharp-horned mammals, naturally selected for endurance running, into a section of their own town, while humans attempt to outrun the charging herd. A firework launched into the air signaling that the bulls had been released. The crowd, mostly humans, with the odd off-worlder that's been dragged into it as I have, begins running the route. I am going to die. What are you talking about? With those legs bent the way they are, you're probably the fastest in the crowd. You're the freaks that can keep running for long distances, remember? So what? Just let the adrenaline kick in. I don't even have that. Then think of something. I'm going to kill you. Kill me when we've escaped the bulls, please. Is there anything that can actually scare these humans? For most species, hunting with old kinetic firearms is considered going toe-to-toe with nature. For humans, having things like weapons or shelter must be considered unfair. We might as well be naked, running away from these damn bulls. Why did I choose a lunatic to be my best friend? And why do I love him even more for it?